Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Good late evening.
It's a nighttime pod. I realized as I sat down here tonight in the he shed, in the creation studio, that in the creation shed, this is our first nighttime pod in my new place. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it because usually I have light pouring in this window in front of me. But I sat down here. I turned my little, camera light on a little brighter, get a light on my face, and I was like, oh yeah, this feels good. You know me, I like a nighttime pod. I like to get a couple beers in me. I think I got four good old lights in me. I was just watching the Flacco revenge game.
Joey No Chill watching Joey Flacco.
Yeah, and that's it, to this day. It even happened in New Orleans, and I didn't have the mustache. But I always get Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, you look like Aaron Rodgers. Forever, it used to be Flacco. I used to get Flacco all the time, which is weird because both of them have blue eyes. But I guess I'm wearing my sunglasses pretty much exclusively all the time. I used to get Flacco all the time. And I was just telling my girlfriend as we were watching the game, I was like, I used to get Verlander all the time too. I was like, if you're white and you have facial hair and you have a long face, and you're an athlete, somebody's going to tell me I look like you. But yeah, I used to get Flacco all the time. And Flacco, handsome guy, still handsome. Those blue eyes in Cleveland now.
38. I'm pulling up the old Joe Flacco. I was just curious about, what he's getting paid. What do you think he's getting paid right now for the?
I mean, I'm assuming the league they upgraded him from the practice squad. I'm assuming the league minimum.
Yeah, looks like it. A base salary of 1.8. But dude, I always get confused. Oh, the signing is 400. The miscellaneous is 300. Yeah. The yearly cash 800. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You almost need an accountant when you look at NFL stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy though. I mean, look, they're up by 2 touchdowns right now. Oh no! Wow,
they're up by 3 touchdowns right now, right?
3. I just updated my screen. That would be 4 in a row under Flacco.
I have a theory that So somebody said to me the other day, I jokingly, and it was 100% a joke. You know me, Andy. I like to send out the occasional, I know it's completely false tweet, but like there are certain fan bases that I love to trigger. And the Lamar Jackson stands, we're going to get into a lot of MVP talk. They're not ones that I particularly care to trigger or whatever, but they are there is a weird passion for people who aren't just like Lamar Jackson's the greatest thing that ever walked God's green earth. How did the Falcons not give 40 first round picks for him? They'd be in the Super Bowl. Like the Lamar Jackson defenders are weird. They're a weird subsection of the population. So I sent out a tweet the other day and I said something along the lines of do the Ravens have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl if Joe Flacco is their quarterback right now? Totally joking. Total joke. 100% joke. Facetious. Obviously, I think the Ravens have a better chance to win the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson than they do with Joe Flacco. And somebody responded along the lines of, Jets got to be kicking themselves. Jets are a contender with Flacco. Hard disagree. I actually think the only reason Joe Flacco's out of the league is because he went to the Jets. I'm starting to think Zach Wilson might be a good quarterback if he gets himself the fuck off the Jets. Like, Joe Flacco didn't suck at football and then suddenly throw passes to his 60-something-year-old dad in the fucking high school field down the street from him and find it again. The Jets just ruin your life. If I am at Fix Your Life, the Jets are at Fuck Your Life, dude. Like, the Jets, if you want to be out of football, dude, you could be a second overall pick. Go to the Jets. The Jets are going to fuck your shit up. Remarkably, Kyle and I have the Ryan Fitzpatrick bet, and like I'd given up on it. I was like, I'm going to lose this bet. The Jets get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers played 4 plays for the Jets, dude.
Well, here's the thing about the Flacco discussion. Well, first of all, he did play a year in Denver. Let's not forget that.
Right.
I think that gets forgotten.
Elway curse.
He didn't put up any staggering
Elway curse.
Lights
Jets.
out stats. But
going to teams that have made deals with have not made deals with the devil, but just like are the devil.
What I think is what I like about something like this, and you saw it with like a Nick Foles on that great run with the Eagles. It's like the pitcher in playoffs for Major League Baseball. Dude, you get a veteran, they can get hot. They have a defense like the Browns. He knows he can rely on those guys to make plays, get turnovers, etc.
Dude, he has the most passing yards in the last 4 weeks. Like, he's not game managing the Browns.
No, he's not. I mean, he's throwing some picks.
Sure, but but Flacco is of a generation. He's from the last generation. He's a last generation holdover, and I'm here for it. I'm starting to think that's not like. I'm starting to think in a way the whole 30 touchdowns, 7 picks model. I know we always talk about turning the ball over, but like the like give me 6 more picks a year on the fucking reckless throw. Like, I kind of like it. Give me 30 and 13.
So we have a call from a Browns fan. I know you also have another dirtball Browns fan take, but this is the call that I got and we'll play, and it obviously goes into this conversation.
Hey boys, Brian Heinrich calling in, and I'm pretty sorry I had to miss you guys in New Orleans. I had a family issue come up a couple days before I left, and I had to fucking cancel my flight. I'm still pretty depressed about that, but I'm here to talk about Joe Flacco. Like, I feel like this situation is very interesting from a lot of angles, from like how well he's playing and why teams like the Jets, who had him last year, or the Vikings, didn't pick him up. But like, if he makes the Super Bowl with the Browns, we put him in the Hall of Fame, right? I dare say. Like, he was already a borderline guy, comparable with like Matt Ryan. But like, do you think making it with the Browns this year would be enough to get him in? Just making it. Like, I think a victory with the Browns is no question, because I mean, it's the fucking Browns, and he'd be a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, likely. I don't think they'll win the Super Bowl, and I'm not sure they even make the Super Bowl. But like, at the end of the day, like, if they can avoid the Chiefs, we're talking about a Super Bowl MVP with an elite defense going up against a group of guys who have like 2 playoff wins combined, minus Mahomes. But all right, boys, condoms are for me for not making it.
No, honestly, condoms are not for you. It's the thought that counts. Something came up. You bought the ticket. We missed you. We wish you were there. I totally understand you being devastated to this day that you were not able to be there. Shout out to all the dirtballs who were there, but no condoms for you for not being able to make it. You had a thing come up. It happens.
Here's what I'm going to say condoms are for. Condoms are for this Hall of Fame take. Brian, appreciate it. Bro, let's just tap the brakes. First of all, I don't know if you looked at his stats, man. Joe Flacco he had that amazing run when the Ravens won the Super Bowl. But like, he's thrown for 4,000 yards once. He's never thrown for more than 27 touchdowns. He doesn't have the numbers. Now, if he leads the Browns to a Super Bowl, okay, let's start a discussion.
Can I just throw one thing out there? Joe Flacco, if the Browns are not winning the AFC North, the Ravens are winning the AFC North. If Joe Flacco wins any playoff game, and we're about to talk about the layers to this, but if he wins any playoff game, if he wins a first round playoff game against the AFC South, likely, Joe Flacco will have the most road playoff wins in NFL history.
Okay, that's interesting.
The most road playoff wins in NFL history. Shout out to my good friend, my high school baseball teammate, longtime dirtball, Mark Clasby, who sent me this text the other day. So a good baseball player that's a postseason stud becomes a potential Hall of Famer. Same for football or no? Playoff records for starting QBs. Brady has 35 wins. It jumps then down to Montana 16, which is insane, by the way. Bradshaw 14, Elway 14, Steve Young 14, Peyton Manning 14, Roethlisberger 13, Favre 13, Mahomes 11, 0 road victories, by the way. Aikman 11, Rodgers 11, Flacco 10, Kurt Warner 9, Russell Wilson 9, McNabb 9, Kelly 9, Breeze 9, Eli Manning 9, 8, Rivers 5, Matt Ryan 4. Flacco 10 wins, 7 road wins. Yes, the numbers aren't there in terms of gross totals for his career. But I would like to add that the Ravens brought in Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has Aaron Rodgers to his Favre, has Luck to his Manning. Like, he came in, and Flacco probably wasn't done, but Lamar, just because of the injury and Lamar getting a chance to play and then them playing really well. And then Flacco goes to Jets, Broncos. Like, it's clear that Flacco wasn't
Broncos,
done.
Jets.
Broncos, Jets. Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm listing them.
Okay.
You have a potential here where maybe Flacco has more yards, had somebody, and more touchdowns and all that, had he not gone to disastrous QB situations, disastrous franchises in terms of managing QBs. Like, if Flacco had gone to the Falcons, could he have been playing this whole time? You know, had he gone to some place where it's like he's playing this whole time?
My thing is, he didn't. And look, I'm not. That is interesting. I do like the 7 playoff road win. The road wins is huge and the most. So that's an interesting stat. I just again, he's had a nice career. He's a Super Bowl MVP. That run he had with that 2012 Ravens team when they beat the Niners in the Super Bowl.
We all agree, though. We all agree that it is more than stats, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
We did this a couple months ago. I said Ryan, Rivers, Ben, Eli. You have to pick 2 or 4. You said Ben and Eli. Right?
There is more than stats, for sure.
So there's more than stats. So here's the thing. I understand making an argument, Joe Flacco. Like, of course, it's an easy argument. If you were on a high school debate team and you get to pick your side of the argument, I'm going to pick arguing Joe Flacco is not a Hall of Famer. That's an easier sell. If Joe Flacco takes the Browns to the Super Bowl, even if he loses, and tomorrow the Hall of Fame committee says, my phone rings and it's like, hey, Joe Prano, we've been really monitoring the Dirty Sports podcast. We've decided to give you a Hall of Fame vote. If Joe Flacco goes to the Super Bowl with the Browns, I'm voting for him for the Hall of Fame. The Browns.
Well, look, that does change things. And I said that after we left the call. I said condoms are for this take because I don't think he will. Now, am I rooting for it? Would love to see it. Love to see Joe Flacco
Now,
take the
this is
Cleveland
going
Browns.
this is going to segue us into the next conversation. You would love to see it because if Joe Flacco somehow beats the AFC South team that he would potentially play in a 4-5 game, more than likely he would be the lowest seed remaining. More than likely. Not guaranteed by any means, but more than likely, especially with your Bills. You know, if your Bills are making a run here. But theoretically, if everything played out as it should, a 5-4 winner would take on whoever had the bye, which right now is the Ravens. And you love a Joe Flacco beating a Lamar Jackson, which, by the way, was Crypto Rant's hot take. Crypto Rant came storming into the Superdome in the middle of a Giants Saints game 2 weeks ago.
Insane.
Like he had fucking breaking news. Prano. I go, what happened? Did Jacob DeGrom re-sign with the Mets? Like, what happened?
Is he handing you because he came in
He's
hot?
like, no, this is before that even.
Literally hot with the hot alligator sausage for us.
But he came. This is before he even got us Gator dogs.
Okay.
He comes in, Prano. I go, did you get assaulted outside the thing? He's like, hot take for you.
The man likes his hand gestures. He likes his
what
hand
is the hot take? He goes, Joe Flacco beats the Ravens on the road in the playoffs. I was like, all right. I'm going to watch this game now.
To be fair, his 3 previous wins before today, at home against the Jags, at home against the Bears, at Houston against the backup. Again, he's at home against the Jets. Heading into today, I'm not trying to take anything away. I'm just trying to state what it is. He's not.
No, well, first of all, we need to.
Playoffs is different. That's all I'm saying.
We're at the point now where we have to give credit. Like, we have to give credit where credit's due with this fucking Browns team, man.
100%. You know my take. I think
coach
of the year. Kevin Stefanski is the coach of the year.
Dude, we were shitting like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson went 4-1 with this team this year. The Dorian fucking Smith Thompson or whatever the fuck his name was. Like, I don't even, is that his name? Went, I think 3-2. The other guy went 2-1 or whatever. Now Flacco's on his way to being 4-1. You're like, dude, everybody who comes in.
He's the coach of the year. I know people want to give Dan Campbell. The Lions were the favorite to win that division. The Lions won 9 games last year. So they were projected to win that division. When you win, so if they win tonight, it's 11 wins, minimum. If you win 11 games with 4 quarterbacks, I don't know how you're not coach of the year.
Wait, you win 4 games with Joe Flacco off a trash heap.
Yeah.
They keep showing Joe Flacco's dad. He's like, I had my dad running out patterns. He's like, I had to wear gloves so he didn't explode my hands. I have arthritis. You're like, dude, what are we talking about here? He's talking about Kurt Warner bagging groceries or whatever. John Kidna like teaching. He's got his dad running fucking sluggo seams.
But that's my point. Like, but if you look, I think a lot of people. Well, I'll just pull up the odds, man. Dude, okay, so they're even. They're even right now. So it's Dan Campbell and Stefanski at plus 175. But again, they were the projected favorite in that division.
By the way, can we talk about another? This is why like this time of year is the best time of year when all the stuff we talk football the whole year round, but like this now we have playoff projections ahead of us. Shit's starting to take shape. We have a potential Rams at Lions playoff game.
I know. So
all the fucking Lions, all the grit, all the knee biting, all the coach of the year, all the Jared got, all the just for Matt Stafford to come and Go full Charlie Sheen in Major League. Just grabs a baseball. I'm going to take this and I'm going to shove it up your fucking ass. Throws it off the locker.
That really is, and I've just like you, I've looked ahead. That's an intriguing first round potential playoff matchup. This will lead us into the MVP discussion because I've never seen so much doubts as far as uncertainty when it comes to an MVP.
Not this late in the year.
Not this late in the year. This is unheard of. It's an interesting discussion, and I did like your tweet that you did after the Ravens just pounding of the Niners. If you want to repeat that concerning
I think it was
the
something
MVP.
along the lines of if the NFL MVP award is just going to be given to the best player on the best team, why don't we give it after the Super Bowl when we know for sure who the best team is? Because throughout this year, we've had Jalen Hurts, and then it's like Jalen Hurts' stats stay exactly the same, but the Eagles lose three games in a row, and Jalen Hurts is out of the MVP picture. And then it's Brock Purdy because his 3 games, his 3 losses in a row are behind him, and now he's won however many straight, and they're the odds-on favorite to be the best team in the NFL, and he's the quarterback, so he's the MVP. But then Brock Purdy, whose stats still fucking piss and shit on Lamar Jackson's, it loses to the Ravens, and now it's Lamar Jackson's. And then we had a Dak Prescott in there for a second because he beat Jalen Hurts, and he was looking good. It's like, if we're now at quarterback of the best team, and by the way, Super Bowl MVP, it's like Super Bowl MVP can just be the best player in that game. You know, we've had a Desmond Howard Super Bowl MVP. We've had a Tracy Porter MVP. We've had guys who go, but like if you're talking about whichever team is the best in the NFL, their best, that team's most valuable player for the year, obviously going to be the quarterback, right? That is the most valuable player typically. This is like we got to a weird place with the NBA award, and it felt like the NFL MVP award was like way more on brand for what it was supposed to be. But like Lamar Jackson jumping to the top because his team beat Brock Purdy's team.
And Brock had a bad game.
Yeah, Brock Purdy had a bad game. But it's like, I have a feeling Lamar jumps if that game is 34-31 and they have similar stats. You know what I mean? I feel like he jumps in it, and it's like, what are we doing here? I'm not saying Lamar Jackson isn't one of the most valuable players to his team. It just feels like this is a very weird way that we've, like this season specifically, because there's been no standout guy. It feels very weird that we just keep rotating it to whoever's team is playing the best.
Yeah, I agree. So I did a deep dive because I was curious on all this. Right. I was curious because the Ravens D has been so dominant. Currently number 1 overall in points per game, right? They're giving out the least amount of points, which, as we know, as a quarterback, I mean, you couldn't have a better best friend than a team that gives up. So I'm not knocking that, but I think that I wanted to look up out of curiosity, just out of curiosity. I went through the last like 15 years. I wanted to see the MVP, which in every year was a quarterback minus Adrian Peterson, I believe, in 2012. I wanted to see what was the defensive points per game of that MVP quarterback. And I was not surprised. Only one QB has ever had the number 1 ranked defense when it comes to points per game, and that was Tom Brady in 2007. Right?
And now
so like,
is Lamar Jackson, are they first in points per game?
They are.
Yeah.
The defense is.
Yeah.
So my point is, like, it's interesting, like you when you have the number 1 ranked defense,
Which,
And when
not to
Lamar-
go full Barry McCockner, but it's like, that's how you win football games.
Well, that's my point. Exactly. And I thought about that too. Lamar, when he won the MVP, they gave up the third fewest points. But when you look at all the other ones, again, I know everyone's going to say Ruther's a Lamar hater. These are the numbers. No one comes close to Lamar. Like Mahomes last year, the D was 17th. Rodgers in his back-to-back years, 10th and 15th. Mahomes the year before Jackson won his MVP, 23rd. Brady the year before that, 7th. Matt Ryan, 27th. Cam Newton, 6th. Aaron Rodgers, 14th. The point is, no one's had a top 5 defense in the last 10 years and win an MVP except for Lamar. This is all I'm going to say.
Who hasn't won it yet, but
yeah, who hasn't won it yet? All I'm going to say, the reason I bring up the defense, you're winning games and it proves your point. They're just going to give it to the guy who's won the most games. What I also find interesting is Lamar's numbers this year are far worse than when he won the MVP.
Yeah.
In 2019.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's not. I don't know. If you had a gun to my head right now, that'd be a tough decision. And you'd say, who's your MVP? I'd say, okay, Lamar's in there. Christian McCaffrey's in there. Josh Allen's in there. Here's what I find interesting.
Now, how about this? Let me just throw. I'm just going to throw a wild card at you as well.
Okay.
Just here, because I hear arguments for all this. This is the 4th Browns QB. Is Myles Garrett back in? Like, if they went 12 games or something like that, like what the fuck? Like, Tyreek Hill missed a bunch of games. Otherwise, I guess there's potential for that to be an argument, you know? But like,
he's not even on the board that I'm looking at.
No, I know he's not on the board. My point is that if we're just, it just feels weird to say quarterback of the team with the best record. Like, if you went by definition of the award, it almost has to be a quarterback, right?
True.
It could be in a situation like this, a McCaffrey, but that's very rare. Like, if I was saying, like, forget this season, like, let's talk about the last 10 seasons. Like, it almost, to me, if you're going by the definition of the word, most valuable player, to me, in a way, you are saying, like, it's probably your quarterback. But on a team that wins the most games, like, just because their defense is shutting people down and he's playing, like, pretty good football, that seems like a weird way to do it. Just taking, it's the quarterback. Now let's just go to which team wins the most games and pick that one's quarterback. That seems weird because tons of teams have been the best team in the league without the best quarterback. I'd argue many of the years Tom Brady won the MVP or won the most games in the league while Peyton Manning was over there dragging teams that would be 0-16 if he wasn't leading them to 12 games, would have been the best quarterback per se.
I want to go back to something you said earlier in the show. This actually fits perfectly for some numbers that I crunched for today's show. And I don't know if you saw this, but even if you did, I'm not, and you're probably going to know who these players are without me naming them. I'm going to give you 2 options. Player A, over 4,100 yards, total yards, 24 touchdowns, 13 turnovers. Player B, because we talked about interceptions earlier, also over 4,100 yards, but
total yards.
Total yards. So both players have 4,100 total yards.
Yeah.
Player B has 40 total touchdowns to 18 turnovers.
Right.
Player A, 24 touchdowns to 13 turnovers.
Right.
Who is more valuable?
I don't know who you're talking about, but I'm assuming one of them is Lamar Jackson.
Correct.
And I feel like the other one is probably Josh Allen.
Correct.
Now, therein lies the basis for my tweet, right? So if we're just doing best fucking player on best team, most valuable player, quarterback on team, then why are we stopping it now? Yeah, the Bills didn't start the season great, but the Bills are finishing the season great. And the Ravens are also finishing the season great. But the season's not over. The season's not over until the Super Bowl. Oh, it's a regular season award. Okay, it's a regular season award. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But it's also not a wins and loss award. If you add wins and loss, which clearly it feels like you are when you make Lamar Jackson the favorite after he beats the Niners, then why are we ending it after the regular season? Because tons of teams that didn't have the most wins in the regular season end up being the best team overall. The Giants won 10 fucking games and they beat the undefeated Patriots. They were a better team. You can think whatever you want about whatever. The Giants were better than the fucking Patriots that year. They were better. They played them twice. Once it was a real close game. The second time it was the Super Bowl. They fucking won. They were better. They were the better team. So
you think they were overall better?
Oh, but it's not about overall.
But when you say better, my thing is if they played 10 times, I think the Patriots win 8 of those.
But we will never know if that's true or not.
We won't.
All we will know is that they got the 2-week break. They got the neutral field. They got the Tom Petty fucking halftime show. They got the whatever, and they served the whole world on a platter a football game between two teams that made it through their conference playoffs. And they said, the granddaddy of them all, this is what we play for. And one team beat the fucking other team. And then also when you say 8 out of 10 teams, they played again fucking 4 years later and they beat them again. So and
I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. But back to the original question. And it's not just
my point is that in the NFL, who wins the Super Bowl is who is the best team. So why are we, if we're going to, this goes back to my tweet, if we're going to factor team success,
but they always do for the most part.
Do they?
Well, I'd argue again. I didn't look at that. I'd argue the last 10 years, or probably even 15, most likely the guy who won the MVP at least won their division.
Probably, yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're the best team. They probably won their division.
Do you think Adrian Peterson's team, did they win the division that year? I don't know. I'm just wondering. But this also is kind of my point, which is this seems like this is the way it's trending, where we're now
they did not, for the record.
Right.
They were second
Packers
place.
Probably did.
Correct.
This is my point. In the last, it feels like as this award has become more and more of a quarterback award, correct, by the way, by definition, most valuable player, we're also trending toward then you must be leading your team to the wins, which I don't necessarily the Cam Newton award was won because they went 15-1 that year. It wasn't a wildly different year than Cam Newton put up year in and year out there with the rushing touchdowns.
I think you're wrong on that.
You think it's a wildly different year than I
think he did. I believe he threw for 35 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure that was without a doubt his best year.
Now, listen, obviously that's a whole thing. The touchdown, when you're winning games, you're scoring more touchdowns, right?
No, for sure. But the reason I bring up the two comparisons, because again, it goes back to what you said earlier in the show. Do you want a guy who has 16? That's a lot more total touchdowns, or a guy, but he also has 5 more turnovers. So let's just do the math. You're plus 11. Do you want a guy with plus 11 touchdowns? I don't know what the right answer is.
This is where you get into the conversation about value, right? So let me just ask you a question. Right now, the Bills are a playoff team. I think they'd be the 6th seed right now.
Correct. It'd be a 6.
Do you think the Bills are a borderline playoff team without Josh Allen? Just like quarterback X, Matt Barkley, or
No,
Tyler Huntley.
I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Last year, the fucking Ravens were a game away from making the playoffs.
No, they made the playoffs. They were
Right. They made the playoffs and they lost.
Play away from winning the game.
Winning
I was there.
right,
Remember?
Right.
The punch out.
And they did make the playoffs. Yeah. And now Lamar Jackson only missed X amount of games. Blah blah blah. But like, they didn't. To me, when you talk about value, we're just getting into a weird thing. I actually don't mind if you're saying, like, I don't mind in the NBA that they're like, it's not really the most valuable player award. It's the MVP. It's the most outstanding player on the team investing. Okay. From an NFL standpoint, it feels like it really held true more to the phrase most valuable player, which is why it became more and more of a quarterback award. Now we've added this weird thing where it's like, it's the quarterback on the best team. That seems weird to me. That seems fucking weird to me.
Well, I feel like neither of us are really giving an answer because I don't know if I have one as far as who I'd say is the MVP right now.
Well, I think there's no doubt about it that it's up in the air right now, that this is the most up in the air it's been this late in the year.
Can I toss out another random guy? And I am
Sure.
not saying, I know you guys sometimes don't listen correctly. I'm not saying he's the
Say
MVP.
Tommy DeVito. Say.
I just want to say the value he has for his team, in my opinion, I'll say this. People might think I'm crazy. I'm going to say it because I do believe this. I think Matthew Stafford has more value for the Rams than Lamar Jackson has for the Ravens.
Wow.
I think
you're saying that even knowing that the Rams went to a Super Bowl with this everything in place and no Matthew Stafford.
I think if you put they're 8-7, I think what they're doing, I don't know how many, I think a lot of people out there have not watched the Rams. I've watched basically every game. I think what they're doing offensively with a lot of quote unquote unknown guy, you got what's his name? The rookie from BYU.
Nakua, I believe.
Nakua. Paku? What's his last name? Whatever. Or is that his first name? Regardless.
Nakua going to work here anymore. That's for sure.
I watched a lot of Rams games. Can't pronounce but my point is they were missing it's too late. I'm having brain farts. They were
Cooper Kupp for a lot of the season.
Cooper Kupp for a while. Yeah, they're missing the running back. My point is, like, I think the value that they've won games, stayed in games. And people might think I'm crazy. Here's what I think. I think the Ravens, under Harbaugh, he's built such a culture on defense and running the ball. I'm not taking anything away from Lamar. Maybe it sounds like I am. I just think you could plug certain quarterbacks in there and it can work. And I struggle. The Lamar stance came out in full force. You're right. The Lamar stance came out. And everybody wanted to bring up nobody in the NFL wanted him and this and that and this and that. Nobody, but you know what I struggle with? Nobody brings up he missed 9 games the last 2 years. They were in first place. And I know Bengals fans don't want to hear this. The Ravens were in first place both years when he got hurt. Both years. But then he got hurt. So you had all those things. I did like a tweet because all these talking heads, as far as guys like Adam Schefter, were almost stoking it, which I didn't really understand because I'm like when like you're having opinions now. I just don't understand why some of these guys, they report the news, but then sometimes they want to step into the news, if that makes sense. I'm more of pick a fucking lane, dude. Are you reporting the news or are you not? Where is it? It's Rich Eisen's tweet, which I liked. He kind of went at Adam Schefter, and I don't think Adam Schefter responded because Adam Schefter was one of those guys who was saying, okay, he did respond. So he didn't actually tweet at him directly, but anyway, this is what Rich Eisen tweeted. I want to hear your take on this. seeing a lot of teams pass the Lamar this past spring takes here. He was never a free agent.
Correct.
See, Rich Eisen comes
Right.
to the
You had
Lamar
to trade
thing
for
from.
him. Right.
That's what he said. You would have had to have given Ravens 2 number 1 picks to sign him if the Ravens would not have matched the offer. The Ravens were never going to let him go. This was it. And then Adam Schefter responded. The Ravens were never approached. Carolina traded multiple number 1s for Bryce Young. Your team, yet no team ever tried to get a deal done with Lamar. No one ever challenged him. Blah blah.
But the idea of bringing up a team that was so bad that have a top draft pick, and that who gives a shit what the worst teams the Panthers and the Commanders and the fucking dog shit teams, the Cardinals and the worst teams in the league. Why would they be interested in Lamar? How does that help them?
Well, and also,
hey, now we suck, but we're paying a guy a quarter. How'd that work out for fucking the Broncos?
Well, exactly. And that's what Rich Eisen came back with today, which no one mentions. Trading 2 number 1s for a QB on a rookie deal which Carolina did. They traded 2 number 1s to get Bryce Young. Isn't remotely the same thing as doing so for a QB who also merits one of the richest contracts in the sport.
Right. Exactly. I'm sorry I missed this whole. This is Schefter and who? This is Schefter and Rich Eisen going back and forth. Okay.
And then Rich Eisen just says, "I gave my theory why no one hit up the Ravens. What's yours?" And I don't think Schefter responded, to my knowledge. And Eisen makes perfectly good points.
Right.
There's no from a
and
financial.
Everybody's like the Falcons. Like, dude, like the Falcons are the Falcons probably run away with this NFC South if they have Lamar Jackson. But are they the best team in the NFC?
No. So
then what the fuck are we talking about? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
right.
Like,
the goal is to win a Super Bowl. The goal is to figure out how. The goal is to lay out a blueprint for it. The goal is to figure out how to win the Super Bowl. And we're going, crack your dirty sports drinking game Miller Lights and pour them and get them ready, because we're going to talk some Russ in a little bit here. But like, the blueprint is win the Super Bowl. And it's not as simple as get a good quarterback, put him on a team, be better than you were last year with the quarterback who could win the Super Bowl. Also, there's no sign that it's fucking. Listen, this is the problem. Let's circle back to NFL MVP. Dude, I'm ready. I have made some Lamar Jackson hot takes in my day. Okay. We just talked about Flacco going to the Super Bowl. Very unlikely. If Lamar Jackson goes to the Super Bowl this year, I was wrong. Now, if he goes to the AFC Championship game coming off a bye, was I wrong? If he wins a single playoff game, was I wrong to like not believe in the Lamar Jackson long-term, experiment, quarterback that needs to run, quarterback that needs to stay healthy, blah, 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 blah? I don't think so. But if Lamar Jackson goes to Lamar Jackson in a year where the Chiefs are down even, and the Bills are down, and Joe Burrow is hurt, I don't care. I'm not going to make excuses for every other team in the AFC just to defend that I'm not a Lamar Jackson believer. But if Lamar Jackson goes to the Super Bowl, provided he doesn't shred his knee running on the third play of the Super Bowl on a fucking option, then I was wrong. The Ravens should have fucking paid him. But if he doesn't, what the fuck are we talking about? And that's why winning the most games should not factor into the NFL MVP. Sure, you can't be like, I guess the baseball equivalent is Mike Trout, right? Can't be Mike Trout. You can't just finish fourth and get the MVP. But like, the point is, at least baseball, they're like, yeah, you can, dude. Yeah, you can. If you pick him up and you put him on any other team, he'd fucking be their best player. If you pick any other team in football, he'd be their best player.
I have a question about the last game on Sunday or on Monday on Christmas with the Ravens and Niners. I was shocked again with all the takes. I was just shocked because, again, people were going to say, you're being a hater. What about that game made him the MVP? Their defense got what?
No.
Did their defense not get three? Correct me if I'm wrong. 3 first half interceptions on Brock Purdy.
Question how it happened. The reason Lamar Jackson is the MVP is because the odds-on favorite to be MVP played a bad game in that game. That's why. It actually has nothing to do with how Lamar Jackson played.
Okay.
It's that the MVP, the number one MVP candidate odds-wise on the board also played in that game and played bad and got himself ripped off the board. Otherwise, here's the thing. If that game comes down to 34-31, Justin Tucker field goal at the end, and the 28 of the 31 points that the Niners scored had been Christian McCaffrey is the MVP leader right now. But it's that Brock Purdy got pulled off the board.
Yeah, because he played so poorly.
But I have been telling you guys that Brock Purdy shouldn't have been the MVP the whole fucking time.
Well, our guy called in. He called back. We got to play. It's a quick call.
Boys, since I gave you guys Dr. Seuss on my first call, I have a Christmas poem about Brock Purdy. 'Twas the night of Christmas. It was no time for rest. The Niners, the Ravens, who is the best? Purdy looks flat. His balls would not land. His cock so small, won't even fill up his hand. Shanahan pulls him and brings in Sam. Brock forgot his cock. Only meat I saw that night was dinner ham. Away into the locker, their 4th loss of the year. Purdy is humbled. I need a fucking beer. On Kittle, on Debo, on CMC. Next week it's back to the fight. Nobody in San Francisco got cock on Christmas night.
What was the rhyme at the end there?
Yeah, I don't know. Lost it at the end, but that's maybe that was an ode to Brock Purdy. On point the whole fucking rhyme, and then just fumbled it at the end. I mean, I completely. First of all, fantastic! Like, what a call! Holy shit! We're getting a fucking Christmas poem. The Dirtballs never cease to amaze me with some of their creativity. Dude, Brock Purdy played like shit. Like, and I am not here for. Again, let me repeat this before, like, and I mean, I feel like our Brock Purdy lover just sent a poem about small cock Brock, but I'm rooting for the Niners at this point. You know, I hate the Cowboys. You know, I hate the fucking Eagles. You know, I'm not a Lamar Jackson stan. I am out on the Taylor Swift Chiefs. Like, Doug Peterson, if you want to talk about it at some point in the show, might be the big, like, the Eagles Super Bowl, and Doug Peterson might be the biggest fraudulent coaching thing. Like, is there a worse coach that ever won a Super Bowl? I'll throw that out there for you. Fuck the Jags. At this point, I'm on the Browns and I'm on the Niners. Like, as far as like rooting interest, I'm on Stafford and the Rams rooting interest wise. Like, but like, give me the Niners. I want the Niners. I'm rooting for the Niners. I was a half a Niners fan growing up. I wore 80 for fucking Jerry Rice. I have always loved the Niners. But I've been saying, like, Brock Purdy, like, what the fuck is he really doing? And he had, like, the MVP was in his locker.
In his cock. It was in his
cock.
Who's in his
And
Josh Jackson?
I am not here for the a tip ball, the couple bounces going. That's not how throwing balls off of defensive linemen's hands work.
Okay, so you have 3. I was gonna say you have 3 votes.
Yeah. Well, this is where we come back to it. It's like, Andy, I don't know the answer because there's 2 more fucking games. But the people that are swimming in my MVP pool are Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, wildly, Myles Garrett, and maybe you're right, Matt Stafford. Big Cock Brock is not in my fucking pool. Tua is not in my pool. Mahomes is not in my pool. You guys are not in my pool right now. You're not there.
Yeah, in my 3, if I had to do a top 3, it'd be McCaffrey. And in no order. It'd be Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. I mean, you know where it's going to get really interesting, and then we can move on from this. If the Dolphins slip up this week, and they didn't last week, but if they do, and then they lose, let's say last game, and the Bills win the division, then it's a serious discussion. If Josh Allen's numbers are that much greater,
right? But you're saying that's a serious discussion the way the voters are looking at it, because then that means, oh, he won a division, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Whereas to me, it's like that's not a factor. His team's in the playoffs.
You know, if Josh Allen finishes with, I mean, think about what we're talking about here. If Josh Allen finishes with 45, 46 total touchdowns, and he's, got 20 ahead of Lamar, like that's a tough ask to give that to Lamar Jackson. For the record, Joe and I did make a pick on this game ahead of time.
What's the score, by the way?
The score is, let's see here. Jets are down by 17. Okay. We had it at -7.5. I took the Jets. I
texted you and I said, I'm taking the Browns if it's 7 or less. You texted back at 7.5. I was like, fucking of course it is. Then you texted back, I'll take the Jets at 7.5. And I said, well, fuck it. I feel the same way, but I'll take Flacco revenge game because, and we'll get into this in a second. I think you picked up 3 last week. I think we're even now.
No.
I think so. I think you went 4-1 against me last week.
No.
I think you did.
What?
I think you went 4-1 against me. I think the only game I got was Giants-Eagles against you. You snuck out.
Oh, shit. I'm looking at.
I snuck out so many fucking
New England, Baltimore.
Yeah, well, Baltimore, right. Yeah. Baltimore on Monday, right? I knew that one. You snuck out Jets. Didn't you take the fucking Jets? You snuck out three of them. I think you went 3-0 to start on this like wild shit. And then we split Eagles, Giants, and Niners, Ravens. But the first 3, whatever they were.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Andy, you're gonna have to hold off. It's an evening show. I'm already 4 Miller Lights deep. I'm just gonna step out here into the yard and water the plants.
Take a leak. I will. I'll tee us up. Saw the DMs, guys. I love, by the way, as Joe's taking a leak, the DMs about Russell Wilson being benched. Love it. That's one of my favorite. Joe's talking about dirt balls being insane. One of my favorite things about the dirt balls are like I'm not going to see it. Like I got DMs on Instagram. I got DMs on Twitter. Bless your guys' little hearts. It's like you're your own little Adam Schefter. Like, Ruther, did you see this? Now, granted, I'm busier than I have been with a little kiddo, but I see the news pretty quickly, which is always funny to me when you guys are like, oh, I'm tipping Ruther off. I actually saw that right away. And I have a lot to say about Russ. I have a lot to say about the situation, his possible future. Sean Payton basically making a move. I think Sean Payton it was feeling he's like, I gotta not just save my offense. I'm trying to save my legacy, yo. I was laughing where you were pissing how I had so many DMs and I said I love how the dirtballs think they're like Adam Schefter. Like I wasn't gonna see it.
Yeah.
Like I had so many DMs. Hey,
You were a little,
see-
I feel like you were a little late on it, maybe. Or maybe you saw the news, but you didn't see you messaged me about it this morning. I'm like, bro, we've been chatting about this for fucking a day now.
Oh yeah. I here's the thing.
You saw
I
the
didn't-
Russ tweet today.
I saw the Russ tweet today.
Yeah.
I literally saw the news. I was actually on my phone right when it happened. I saw the Russ tweet today, which I sent you, which was yesterday when he tweeted, "God's got me. Looking forward to what's next." He just fucking stop. Like,
Yeah.
like there's nothing worse, dude. There's nothing worse than that. And I think I'm pretty like I don't care what you believe in. You can believe in God, you can believe in Jesus, you can believe in fucking whatever you want. I don't care what you believe in. But to me, that tweet, that is it's almost like I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you. It's somebody taking a moral high ground. I hate that tweet. Like God's got me. But he didn't have you because you just got benched.
Right. Right. I mean,
So-
I have a fair, it's a Joe Prano, where, when the player fumbles, where were you on that one? God,
Yeah, exactly.
you
So
saw him
believe
coming
what,
up behind me. Why didn't you say anything?
believe what you want, man. Just keep it to yourself. Like at this point, also, again, we've made this discussion so many times. You're hated, man. Like you're hated. Like you talk about someone so tone deaf. I honestly don't know if I've seen a more tone deaf player.
Well, that will be something that I think his tone deafness and his lack of self-awareness is something that we need to talk about in the what's next for Russ discussion. But first, I want to present you with it was late last night. It was a little late to be texting you. So there's essentially a Russ group chat, which is you, me, and CT. It's me and the world's greatest Russ defenders. It used to be you, me, it used to be you, me, CT, and Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll removed himself from the chat. Then for a while it was, but I sent CT a text yesterday and I said, at this point, me, Pete Carroll, and Sean Payton are on one side of the conversation. You and Andy Ruther are on the other. And of course, that opened up a whole, conversation. But the interesting thing about Russ is, and like I said, break out your Dirty Sports Miller Lights. It's Dirty Sports drinking game time. The guys talk about Russ. I don't even know if we have an argument here. The guys talk about Russ, but what I said to CT is Sean Payton figured out in 1 year what it took Pete Carroll probably 6 or 7 to figure out, which is great player, not worth the money. Bottom line, great player, not worth the money. And now it's what comes next for Russ. And I think that's where the self-awareness question comes in. Yeah. I think there's 0 landing places for Russ if he insists on the money that he wants or that he's gotten in the past. And there's a couple of interesting places for Russ if God tells him to take a team-friendly deal to win.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's everything I've read about it. He needs to eat some humble pie. And he needs to realize there's no market for him at that value. There's just not. Dude, there's no value.
Not the Falcons, not the Steelers, not the Patriots. Like no one's looking at Russ where he's at today and saying, you are the missing piece and we'll give you $40 million to do it.
And
You look around the league, there's really not a whole lot of fucking landing places for Russ just generally. Then you're limited to where's the potential landing spots. And then you're limited to for what? For what amount? To me, when people go, the Patriots, I go, do you think Bill Belichick you think you don't think Bill Belichick knows already? It took Sean Payton a year. It took Pete Carroll 6 years. You don't think Bill Belichick knew 3 years ago? He was out there.
Also, well, there's a good chance he's not there anyway.
Right. But I'm saying
does this not scream Raiders all over it? If he took the
sure, potentially.
I'm just saying it's a Raiders franchise move.
It's a Raiders franchise move, but everybody's smartened up now. It's not just me and Tug in the room anymore. A lot of people have come around you have to there are certain quarterbacks who it's you get a blank check. And there's
that's very few though.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's 3 of those guys. There's 4 of those guys. There's 5 of those guys. But you look at it, you look at the guys Deshaun Watson's not one of those guys.
No.
Russell Wilson's not one of those guys. So, another kind of obvious landing place, the Steelers.
I mean, they're trying to develop Pickett.
Yeah, but probably have determined you could probably have, and I'm a Kenny Pickett defender, by the way, and a Russell Wilson truther, by the way. But let's say you're going to, let's say my bat phone rings and they're like, Joe, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm like, uh-huh. And they're like, you are one of the world's foremost Kenny Pickett defenders. I was like, yes, you've got my attention. They're like, you are also the world's foremost Russell Wilson truther. I'm like, uh-huh. And they're like, who's a better quarterback? I'm like, Russell Wilson. Is that all you guys needed from me? Kenny Pickett will very likely, as a expert in this field, I can tell you with 99% certainty, Kenny Pickett will never be as good as Russell Wilson at football. Have a great day. Wire $100,000 in my bank account. Goodbye. But that being said, to what amount? The Steelers have always been a very smart football organization. Are the Steelers if I was the Steelers, I'd take Russ over Kenny Pickett, even if it's 2 years and Kenny Pickett can sit behind you and whatever. But not for $80 million. Not for $60 million.
2 years, $40 million.
2 years, $40 million. Ooh, now we're talking. And what? I guarantee you 30, and then I give you a 10 on the end. Okay, maybe. But now that's where we get into Russell Wilson's self-awareness. Russell Wilson, I'm not playing for less than $30 million. You might not be playing football, dog. You might, at that point, be playing craps in Vegas and hoping the Raiders take a fuck. Dude, no one went for Lamar Jackson.
Well,
for $40 million.
I don't think that's comparable.
I'm just saying, dude, Russell Wilson signed a $250 million deal 2 years ago.
Look, a team like the Steelers would be a nice fit. They run the ball, they play defense. That's his blueprint from Seattle. I just don't see it. I mean, look, Tomlin, he's dealt with some head cases. He's dealt with, Antonio.
But Roethlisberger's also Jesus freak weirdo. Russell Wilson's not a rapist. You got that going for you.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing with Russ and the big thing with where I've been all along, major hit to his Hall of Fame potential. I mean, it is. It's major. Like at this point, you got to put two, maybe even 3 productive years, and you got to win a couple playoff games, I think. Even if your numbers aren't stellar, you got to be on the team. I look. I don't.
You could
think
have a
he
team
has,
like the Falcons, and then it's like cool, but like to what? If you're the Falcons and you're building something here, and you might just win the division anyway. Russell Wilson doesn't make you a favorite in the NFC next year.
No.
So then what? So to what value?
He's his own worst enemy.
If Russell Wilson's going to play for the Falcons, if Russell Wilson's going to sign up for 3 years 45 or 3 years 50 for the Falcons, and he'll take $15 million a year plus a bonus. Sure, do it. But like, I don't think he is, dude. He's like, God is great.
I agree.
God is good. God wants me to get $36.5 million a year minimum. And you're like, all right, dude. You might find out God hates your guts this offseason.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's going to be the biggest problem for him going forward. Learn how to adjust your life. Like just learn how to adjust your expectations. Because they're not there. And we always talk about the NFL, man. The NFL doesn't give a shit. I mean, it's so cutthroat. What they did to him is exactly what has happened recently, where they're also benching him because he would get 37. Let's say he got hurt, and if he couldn't pass a physical in March, he would get $37 million guaranteed if he couldn't pass the physical.
Right.
So then they bench him.
And first they asked him to adjust his deal. He said no.
Correct. The Raiders did this with Derek Carr.
Because he did not believe that God would protect him from injury.
I mean, this has happened with the Raiders twice, with Jimmy G, Derek Carr, and the Colts with Matt Ryan, where they bench these guys because they're like, shit, it's the end of the year. You get hurt. There's that trigger injury clause if you don't pass a physical.
And in all those situations, the team wasn't sure that they wanted that guy to be their quarterback next year. And the Broncos are not sure they want Russ to be their quarterback next year.
I would have loved to heard what Russ said back, though, to Sean Payton when he informed him. I would have loved to have been in that room. If he just gave him some God shit back, or he just put his head down. I don't know what Russ says back to that.
He's like, Broncos country, let me go back to my agent and talk about this.
I think part of the problem is that he's dating a big pop star. I don't think she's the problem, but I think that my point is that became a thing for him. And he was always a dork. That's still the biggest mystery. How those two got together. Now, I believe was it with Amy? Did Amy leave a call, or were those DMs that I had with him saying, she kind of got, again, I don't know enough about this, that she was passed around by some rappers.
Dude, I can't name a Ciara song, so I don't like. She's not that big of a pop star.
They're big enough. She's got a big following. You always got to go to Insta. How many followers do you think Ciara has?
I don't know. 2.6 million.
I'm gonna guess 20 million.
20 million.
We're both way off. 35.2 million.
Jesus Christ.
So I knew she was a big pop star.
I mean, I understand, but I'm just saying, like,
she's very attractive too.
Sure, no doubt of that. But like, I truly can't name a song. I couldn't even guess.
Goodies? You can't name Goodies?
I do not know how Goodies. You just told me the name of the song, and I do not know how that goes. There was probably a time in my life where I was like, I can't name a Katy Perry song. And you would be like, Firework. And I'd be like, oh, I've heard that song. I do not know what Goodies. I don't know how that song goes.
Same beat as the Petey Pablo song.
This is also a problem.
You sound like one of the women at Isla's daycare. She'd never heard of NWA today, and I was like,
well, that's a whole different. See, that's in my range, dude. I'm on a white folk. Not folk is offensive. I'm on a white rocker kick. For some reason, no one in the world told me about the Max Tom Petty documentary about wildflowers that came out in 2021. Somehow the whole world didn't tell me about that. Me, the foremost fucking Tom Petty slurper. I didn't know about that. I watched that the other night. I was like, I'm literally sitting the whole time like, why did no one tell me this? Who is the PR agent for this film? Fire them. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And then I got in the mail today by Warren Zevon, Accidentally Like a Martyr book that I'm reading. Like, I don't know who Ciara is, dog. I'm reading books that break down 13 Warren Zevon songs.
She broke out like early 2000s.
I mean, I know when she broke out. I just don't know. I just have no idea what the fucking song goes. None of them. Not one.
Come on.
I can't name one. You said goodies. Goodies or goody? I wish I knew. I swear to God.
Do you want me to play it? I mean, I really can't right now, but
I'll listen to it after the show.
that's hilarious. She actually remade, it wasn't a big hit. She remade Rolling Stones Painted Black too. I think it's actually not a terrible version.
Okay.
I mean, 35 million Instagram followers. She clearly is a thing.
Yeah, sure. But also, this happens to me all the time now because I'm like not a boomer, but like whatever. That I'm a Gen Xer, where it's like the thing now is like somebody will be like, "You don't know who that is," and I'll be like, "I've literally never heard that. You are telling me this name for the first time," and then I'll look it up and they'll have 10 million Instagram. I'm like, how does somebody have 10 million Instagram followers and I didn't even know they existed till right now? Like, at least I'd heard of Ciara. I'd heard of Ciara before Russ, but I didn't know any of her music.
Well, not that this is on the same level. Speaking of things that you hadn't heard of and you just showed a book, my sister-in-law gave me a great book for someone like me who loves the NFL. How had I never heard of this book? I feel like nobody knows. Have you ever heard of the book, The League? How 5 rivals created the NFL and launched a sports empire?
No.
It came out 5 years ago. And it focuses on, I just started reading it last night. It focuses on Art Rooney, George Halas, Tim Mara. Is it Mara or Mara?
Mara.
Tim Mara, George Preston Marshall, and Burt Bell. How these 5 guys and their teams basically created the NFL. And we all know what's turned like it goes through the history going to the 20s. And you know, it's like nerdy history, but I'm like, this is amazing to know how this all started and how these guys risked so much and how the NFL, and obviously this is a long time ago, was so low. Like college football was so much bigger than the NFL for a long time, which is pretty wild if you think about it. College sport was bigger.
Yeah.
And I guess probably the same could be said about college basketball and the NBA. It's kind of insane. But anyway, I will report back. And the only thing I keep thinking of, and you read all this and you're like, man, to be like an early guy on these NFL teams, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like an early investor.
For sure.
Even in like the 60s.
Dude, even in 1998.
I was just going to say, even in the 80s.
Yeah. Remember the whole thing? John Elway could have like $2 billion right now if he just took like a random fucking 5% of the Broncos as a payout.
It's nuts, man. It's absolutely nuts. Still same score, by the way. We're at 11-23 and counting. 34-17. Looks like you're going to get a point there.
Let's go.
Let's do
pick
some picks.
games.
Let's pick some games. We did have a lot of calls. We can probably get to those next episode. 310-359-8365. So we have tonight's game.
Did you do a Miller Lite ad while I was peeing?
No, I did not.
Oh, great. Okay. You know I like to be here for them.
Yeah. Do you want to do a Miller Lite ad?
No,
right now?
I mean you fit it in wherever you fit it in. I just wanted to make sure before we did picks that you knew. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it.
There was no Miller Lite ad scheduled for today.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, there you go. Drink it anyway, guys.
That's why I did not do one.
There
was no Miller Lite ad scheduled. I know we normally do them on Thursday.
Well, drink it anyway, fellas. Boys and girls, Drinking anyway. I've had 4 tonight on my way to do this show.
Would you like to do some picks?
Let's do it. I'll tell you my first pick. Miller Lite.
You can do any plugs you want, Joe.
No. Let's go. Let's make some picks.
We do have one Saturday game.
Let's go.
A game with huge seating implications as far as the Lions are concerned. Lions and Cowboys in Texas. Primetime Saturday night game. Before we play that, or before we discuss that, I do have a call from Dan Campbell. He was celebrating. Called the hotline.
Joe, Andy, it's Dan Campbell, man. I got a short call for you today, man. I'm going to keep it brief. Kind of out of breath. I've been doing a lot of up-downs since we won the division. And got a new T-shirt, NFC North champions, man. So I got to get it broke in with some sweat, man. Get it smelling like the rest of the clothes in my closet. I just want to say, I'm like Tyrion Lannister, man. My word is my bond, man. I said we were going to win. We were going to be gritty. That was a gritty win in Minnesota this week, man. We're NFC North champs going into the playoffs with some fucking momentum, man. And we bit kneecaps off. I don't know if you saw the injury report. I sure did. T.J. Hawkinson, who I was stupid for trading. Apparently, man, we bit his kneecaps off. MCL, ACL. Stay dirty, man.
A little gloating from Dan Campbell there.
Love that. Love that from Dan Campbell.
Now he's a 5.5-point underdog this week, though.
What? They're 5.5-point dogs in Dallas?
I know it's a big spread. Now again, just to kind of keep everybody up to speed if you aren't watching or listening to the whole playoff thing. They're tied with the Eagles for the same wins losses. Now the Eagles are the number 2 seed, so like these are all pending seeds, and like you said, they would like to get that number 2 seed. You don't want to have to face a possible Rams 3-6.
Well, who's the 7 seed right now?
The 7 seed is, let me pull it up. Seahawks.
Wow.
Much better draw. Geno Smith, who's never won a playoff game, versus the guy who's won a Super Bowl.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I think we're probably going to pick the same pick.
We're both picking the Lions.
I'm picking the Lions.
I'm picking the Lions. I was ready, dude. I think first of all, I think the Cowboys win this game, and
I do too.
I was ready for it to be a 3-point Cowboys home spread, and I was about to take the Cowboys. I was not predicting that I was going to pick the Lions, but like that seems crazy that it's that high to me. Now, let me just say something. I took an absolute fucking beating last week in my NFL bets. I mean, I got thrown out of a moving car, and then they came to tend to my body, and then the EMTs just started kicking me. And then luckily, they threw me in the back of an ambulance, and they were like, "We're driving to a graveyard. We're going to bury you alive." And then as I was on my way to die, the 2 EMTs got in the front, and all of a sudden the back door opened and a beautiful nurse hopped in, and she had a thing of oxygen, and I said, "What is that?" And she said, "That's the Christmas Day NBA slate. Let me put this to your mouth and save you from financial ruin." And I was like, "Jesus Christ, thank God that you're here." I was literally about to be dead, and she was like, "Suck in on this Knicks money line." And I was like, I would love that. Thank you. I took an absolute fucking bath last week, and I've had a rough go of it lately. So at this point, I'm at a loss for how to pick these fucking games. But I think the Cowboys win this game, but it's 5.5 seems a lot.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot.
Even on the road, Cowboys so good at home. I don't believe in the Lions. Blah 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 blah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, they're 11-4. They're 6-2 away. So they have a great road record. All right, that's our only Saturday game. Sunday, we have Patriots Bills in Buffalo. Bills are 13-point favorites. Pat's coming off of a nice little road dub against the Broncos. Does Josh Allen just blow them out? They burned us both last week.
Yeah.
They lost the Patriots earlier this year. I don't think they lose, but I also don't think they win by 13. I'm going to take the Patriots.
Same. This is going to go fast.
All right, Falcons Bears in Soldier Field. Bears are 3-point favorites.
Money line. I think the Falcons win the game.
Yeah. Who's playing quarterback? Heineke?
Heineke,
Heine don't
Labatt's
care.
Blue, fucking Stella Artois. I don't care.
All right. Well, again, we agree. Here we are. I'll take the Falcons. All right. Raiders.
We should stop agreeing. I think I got fucking 3 right last week, and you caught up because you got 6 right or some shit like that.
Okay.
Like I
Raiders.
fucking ate dick last week.
It's all right. It happens.
Thank God for the NBA. Long live the NBA.
Yeah, I try to do this. I try to do a wild parlay on the Bills game. I missed, I think, every single one. Like every single one. It was like Bills minus 6.5. Josh Allen 250 passing yards. Josh Allen 2 touchdown throws. James Cook one rushing touchdown. I mean, again, it was a wild one, but
Yeah.
I missed on every single one of these. Okay, Raiders Colts in Indy. Indy's a 3.5-point favorite. Give me the Raiders.
Antonio Pierce that finally feels like for once going to do enough for the Raiders to give the interim coach the job. If you're not hiring Coach Joe, hire Antonio Pierce. What the fuck are we talking about here? He beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day. They didn't throw he didn't complete a pass after the first quarter. They didn't complete a pass after the first quarter.
Which can we talk about the Chiefs or I don't know if you want to wait for let's wait to get the Chiefs Bengals game. So we're both going to go Raiders.
The Raiders.
I mean, that 0.5 hook.
I honestly don't even give a shit about that 3.5. Like I think the Raiders could also win the game. The Colts, like Mata, prove me wrong. The Colts have fucked me this year.
Yeah, they've been a tough team to pick.
I'm done picking this Colts team. It's 2 more weeks. Fuck you. I don't know who they play next week. I'm taking the other team. Put me down.
Giants.
Put me down for week 18. The team playing the Colts.
Rams Giants. Rams are 5.5-point favorites at MetLife. What do you got?
Well, I'll take the Rams. I was ready to take the Tyrod Taylor Giants in an 11.5-point spread, but 5 seems. I know it's west to east, but the Rams are going to try to get themselves in the playoffs. Giants have nothing to play for at this point except pride, and I just don't think it's. I think it's a touchdown game.
I'm gonna take. So Tyrod Taylor's playing, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the Giants to cover.
Whoa. It's like me taking Russ last week. How'd that work out for me?
Yeah, not good. I'm gonna take the Giants. All right, Cards Eagles. It's at the link. Eagles are 12-point favorites. Big spread. Eagles struggle this year again, like they did last week. I'm like, they're gonna cover. Nope, they didn't cover. I'm gonna take the for that reason. I'm gonna take the Cards.
I'm going to take the Eagles because it's west to east. It's at the link. I think that the Eagles will have a very similar game to what they had last week against the Giants. I don't think that the Cardinals have the fight to like backdoor it. I'll take the Eagles.
Backdoor Kyler. No? Okay. 2 different picks. Saints Bucks. We have a 2.5 Tampa Bay favorite at home. The NFC South leading Bucks.
2.5 point favorites in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough one, man.
It is.
Like we got to give credit where credit's due, man. Baker Mayfield looks good.
He's having a pretty good year.
The thing that worries me about this game and about picking the Bucks is just like, doesn't it feel like the NFC South comes down to 3 teams in the fucking week 18?
Yeah, they're all 8-8.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks, though. I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I feel like I feel like I'd rather ride with a hot hand than just like I'm a Derek Carr defender, but also at the same time, it's just like I got to give credit where credit's due, man. The Bucks like are playing pretty good goddamn football.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucks as well. I think they win the game. All right, Niners Commanders in Maryland.
We're both losing that one.
Yeah, we could. Niners are 12.5 point favorites. I believe who's playing quarterback for the Commanders?
Jacoby Brissoli?
Yeah. Bounce back game. I think the Niners cover.
Ah, man. Agreed. Yeah, I absolutely think that's what it is. Honestly, if the Niners had beaten the Ravens 12.5 points after the way Jacoby Brissoli played last week, it would be very tempting. But not on a game where they're like, we need to get ourselves back in the fucking, like, we need to get people off of our dicks and balls. I think they manhandle I can't believe Ron Rivera is still coaching the Commanders, honestly.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Almost as amazing as Jacoby Brissoli is still playing.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave him that nickname, it feels like 7 years ago.
And not for the Browns, remarkably. The Browns are on to Joe Flacco,
who's currently up 2 touchdowns. Under 8 to go. All right, moving right along. Panthers, Jags. Little AFC and NFC South matchup. In Jacksonville, the Jags, who've lost 4 in a row. The Jags are 6-point favorites.
Nope. I'll take the Panthers to be close. Like, I think the Jags win the game, but the Panthers are going to like this.
They've been showing a little something.
They've been showing a little something, and also like, what the fuck is it, dude? I said this before. So here's my fucking. It's the worst because it bit me in the worst way possible. But you can go back on the show. I don't know if these episodes are still up. I don't know if you can go back far enough on this show to listen to episodes of this show from the year that Philadelphia won the Super Bowl. For an entire year. I mean, we talk about Brandon Staley, like reckless coaching decisions, and we talk about whatever. For an entire football season, Doug Peterson made reckless football decisions, and every single one of them worked out. He would just go for random 4th downs. He'd go for random 2-point conversions. No rhyme or reason. No analytics. Didn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm wearing a visor and I like it. And they were like, cool. And it worked. And they were like, we're a team of destiny. And that team somehow went on to win the Super Bowl. And everybody who understands math was like, the probability of every single one of 4,700 reckless football decisions going correct in a row is like picking the number 7 on a roulette wheel and hitting it 14 times in a row. Like, the probability of it happening is so unlikely, like that it could never be replicated if you spun a roulette wheel for the rest of eternity. And now probability and the math gods and everything are just like, yeah, dude, remember that year where you made 4,700 terrible decisions? They all went your way. You're never going to have another decision go your way for the rest of your career. And now he just makes terrible, reckless decisions and they never go his way. And he's going to be out of football in 2 seasons. Like, he made the most remarkable deal with the devil of all time. And he was like, I just want one season where every move I make goes right. And they were like, you got it. But flip side is you will never make another correct coaching decision for the rest of your career. And he's like, that's fine. I'll win a Super Bowl. And dude, he was fired 2 years later. He's going to get fired by the Jags. Like, he is a bad football coach.
Well, they won a playoff game last year.
Sure.
He's not going to get fired this year.
He's not going to get fired this year, but he's going to get fired by the Jags.
So you're taking the Panthers?
Yes.
I'm very tempted to. I was going to take the Panthers too. But I'm not with the 6 points. And Trevor Lawrence, he's getting hurt. He's playing poorly. It's a bad situation. So
they were like, remember that time where we let you have a tight end throw a pass to your quarterback in the Super Bowl and it worked, even though it was one of the dumbest calls we've ever seen? He's like, yeah. And they're like, cool. Your current quarterback will never stop fumbling. He's like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. I have a ring. They're like, no, literally, if we snap him the ball, he's gonna fumble. He's like, no, I got it. I'm in. I'm fucking in.
Big game next. Next up, we got Dolphins Ravens. Big for playoffs. So Dolphins win. They would overtake the Ravens as the number 1 seed. Dolphins lose. Bills win. That final week 18 game would be for the division crown. Baltimore is currently a 3-point favorite at home. Look, I bet against the Dolphins last week. I still think they're paper tigers, and I still do that again this week. I'm going to take the Ravens to win and cover.
Same. I was going to say the exact same thing. Bet against them last week. So shocked that they won. I think that I would be very, very, very confident in this if it didn't have a Ravens letdown post Niners potential. But I'd rather be wrong about a hangover, or I'd rather be right about paper tigers than right about a hangover. I go Ravens.
And I mean, that'd be crazy, if they would overtake them. Again, there'd be 1 game left, but still.
Yeah.
All right, Titans, Texans. CJ Stroud will be back. It's in Houston. Texans are 4.5-point favorites, which means time for a call from Alex from Kentucky.
What?
Hey, Andy, Joe, it's Alex from Kentucky calling in for the Dirty Sports 1000th episode. And I just want to say, once again, fire Vrabel. He's torpedoed our team thanks to his huge ego. Like, he's already ruined Will Levis's development, already got him hurt, and it's time to move on from Vrabel, whether it's Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, or even one of those coordinators, Ben Johnson. It's time for an offensive guy. I know Belichick's not an offense guy, but he's still the greatest coach of all time. I had to call in for the 1000th episode. Alex from Kentucky.
Well, Alex, as I'm sure you know, that was a live episode, but appreciate the call. He still wants Vrabel gone. Can Vrabel cover at 4.5?
I make this pick solely based on Alex's call. Give me the Titans.
I agree. I'm taking the Titans as well.
I love it. How's he fucked up Will Levis's development?
Has anyone hated Mike Vrabel as much as Alex from Kentucky?
Didn't Will Levis throw 4 touchdowns in his first game?
Because he's injured or something? I don't know. That's why. No one's ever hated Mike Vrabel as much as Alex from Kentucky.
I love him. I love that he was in the AFC South fucking contention for the better part of this year with switching to
not really.
Well, they weren't out of it. I mean, they're
they're 5-10.
Yeah.
It's funny. Roscoe came just storming in here. He heard some Alex from Kentucky talk, and he just was like, "What's up, fam? Hey, give me a few minutes, bro." That time of night where Roscoe, by the way, his eyesight's getting really bad. He stormed out against. I thought he was gonna die. He stormed out my house there. It's like, I'll just let him in the front yard to pee. He stormed out. Fucking 2 German shepherds ran across the street. I was like, what is? And they were going psycho. I'm like, dude, What are you thinking? Just give zero fucks.
He just went at them.
Yeah, didn't just ran across the street barking, and I was like, some woman, she could barely control him. I was just like, what are you doing?
Dude, you should see my house right now. I mean, thank God. I mean, first of all, I during the middle of the show, I almost said, thank God for backyards. Man, I went out and had a piss mid-show. Backyard didn't have to go to the bathroom or anything. Like, I just watered the plants. I currently have my dog.
Oh, I saw your Instagram story.
Our dog. I currently have the fucking horse that is the foster dog. The horse that death rides, as I call Bob. A Great Dane. If anybody out there in Dirty Sportsland wants to adopt a dog, he is the sweetest, nicest, kindest, gentlest, gigantic horse dog. If you need a Great Dane, Bob is available for adoption. And then we have Laz's dog, King, who everybody may or may not know the story behind King, but we have King. So we have Boom, a horse, and then King, who's just like a big-headed pit bull. Help me, guys. Or if you're out there and you would just come out here to Port Hueneme, pick up Bob the horse.
What's that thing weigh?
Probably 120. But he's skinny.
Yeah.
He's just big.
That's a big dog.
Maybe 130.
All right, can we get through these real quick?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Steelers, Seahawks.
The Rust Bowl.
The Rust Bowl. 2 8-7 teams. Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites. Mason Rudolph just shredded the Bengals last week.
Where is this game being played?
It's in Seattle. 3.5-point Seahawk favorites.
My first. Give me the Seahawks. Give me the no 2 Mason Rudolph games in a row. Seahawks.
Yeah. That's what I'm feeling.
I was like Mason Rudolph. I couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, again.
We both were.
Yeah.
Tough year, man. Yeah. I mean, just absolutely shredded.
I don't feel like we're having a tough year, though. I bet you if you went through, statistically, I bet you we had an okay year.
I looked last time I looked, I was like 3 points above 500.
Right.
Well,
you're above. You're in the fucking green, dog.
Yeah, no, I know, but like
that's what I'm saying. It's not a rough year. We didn't lose money.
No, we wouldn't have lost money.
And that's having that's gun in mouth picking every game. I know because I've had a pretty solid. I wouldn't say I have a great year, but I had a very good year NFL gambling. And then this last weekend, it was Mike Tyson on the speed bag to my nutsack. It was just it is swollen. I was on the ground. And he's like, now I'm gonna hit you with an uppercut. And he went to fucking uppercut my cock. And then Adam Silver put his fucking head in the way. And he was like, don't forget about NBA playoffs. I was like, or NBA fucking Christmas Day game. So I was like, thank you, Jesus.
All right. We have the Broncos Chargers. This one is in Mile High. Jarrett Stidham game. Denver's
Jarrett Stidham stick for last place.
3.5-point favorites.
Who's
Denver
3.5-point favorites?
Denver
is in Mile High.
Yeah. Chargers hung tight with the Bills last week.
Give me the Chargers.
You take the Chargers?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a Stidham boost.
Stidham bump. Look at the fucking 180 Ruthers. He's like, give me Stidham. He's like, Russ out of the locker room. Give me all the fucking points.
Stidham country. Let's ride. All right. Bengals Chiefs.
Is this Sunday night?
No, it's the 425 CBS, so it'll be the main game. There's only one. There's the Sunday night game. There's no Monday night game. Roscoe, come here. Just fucking wait.
Roscoe,
Jesus.
let's ride.
Just come here.
Roscoe country.
Chill out. He's old. Okay, the Bengals are 7-point underdogs. This spread has definitely moved down. It opened like 8.5.
Where is it?
It's in Arrowhead.
Give me the Chiefs.
You think back-to-back rough games? You think
No,
the Chiefs offense?
I actually think it's Chiefs. I'm going to go Chiefs breakout game.
All right, I'm gonna take the Chiefs as well. By the way, fun stat I gave Justin. I always, you know me, always coming with the Bengals hate stats.
Where are the Bengals now as far as getting into the playoffs?
8-7. They have like a 16% chance.
If they win out, it goes up though, right?
Yeah, they win out, it goes up big time. They get the Chiefs at Arrowhead, then they get the Browns at home.
Oof. Good night and good luck. You're not winning both.
Yeah. No, you're not. I'll tell you what is a damning stat for the Bengals, and I know they've made a Super Bowl and they made the AFC Championship, and like we all know that, right? I made the point earlier. Lamar Jackson got hurt both those years, and he can get hurt again. Zach Taylor now. This is a terrifying stat if you're a Bengals fan. Zach Taylor, after last week against the Steelers, is now 9-20 against the AFC North. So my argument is this, Joe, and I think you're going to agree.
You got to win your fucking division.
That's my point.
That's the best chance of
that's my point
with consistency.
That's my point, dude. If you're 9-20, and it was those 2 years again where that's why I made the point. Lamar, and again, it can happen because I've been number one guy. Lamar gets hurt, but dude, that's what you're banking on now every year. Lamar Jackson getting hurt or Deshaun Watson getting hurt, and you and I both know. Harbaugh's not going anywhere. Most likely Tomlin's not going anywhere. And Stefanski's not going anywhere. Without a doubt, some people might argue this. I think Taylor's by far the worst coach in that division.
I mean, he's probably not by far the worst coach in the league, but I think he's arguably the worst coach in the division.
But when you're 9-20 through 5 years, it's like that's not a quick little that's a good scale to judge from 5 full years. If they lose to the Browns, they're going to go 0-6 in the division.
I mean, if you're going to give, let's say you were to make an argument about where coaching ranking in that division, if you're going to give Zach Taylor some sort of props for making a Super Bowl, then he's immediately behind 2 guys with Super Bowls. Right?
Correct.
Now, I'm not that guy, but I'm just saying if that's where your argument were to start, if you're like, whoa, he went to a Super Bowl. Cool. Well, then this is the Jordan fucking LeBron. This is the thing. If you're going to start with rings, then Jordan's behind Russell and tied for 10th all time. He's the 10th best player of all time.
Yeah.
If your argument for Zach Taylor is he made a Super Bowl, then he's at best the third best in the division.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with you, by the way, and it's risky because the Chiefs have looked like dog shit. I think they get it right. Jamar Chase is already talking shit. It's like, I don't know, guys. This might be the game where the Chiefs finally break out. I just hope Taylor Swift's not there. I'm sick of seeing her. But we do love when they lose, especially to the Raiders.
No, man, dude. I mean, I put two different TikToks up about Taylor Swift. At this point, like, I don't even believe it. Again, this is the thing. This is like me saying Joe Flacco better chance of the Ravens. I don't even believe it. I'm just out here to trigger certain people. Like at this point, I just love triggering Swifties. It might be my favorite. It might be my number one favorite group to trigger.
Final game, Packers-Vikings. Minnesota's a 1-point favorite at home. Both teams are 7-8. I'm going to go Packers win and cover.
The Vikings are favorites?
Yeah, they're at home.
Yeah, because I guess they have coach of the year. I'm going to also go with the Packers.
All right. Week 17 picks. We did it. You guys know where to follow us.
I'm at Joe Prano on all social media. Got a few shows coming up. If you are in the San Luis Obispo area, I'll be up there this weekend doing some Don't Tell comedy shows. If you want to know where they are, go to don'ttellcomedy.com and buy the shows in the San Luis Obispo area, or slide into my DMs and I'll tell you. Come see me by following my Instagram at Joe Prano, and I post all my shows there and some fun stuff coming up. So yeah, follow me on all social media.
Cool. Make sure you guys caught my debut album dropping New Year's Day, straight out of Formula. It's
Straight out of
hot.
formula.
It's hot fire. No, you guys know where to follow at The Dirty Sports. We'll get to some more calls next week. There's some funny calls that I really like. So I got your calls. 310-359-8365. All right, guys, that is the show. Good chance, real quick. I'll talk to Joe about it. We might do next episode on Tuesday because Monday is January 1st, and
Sure.
we can discuss it. But all right, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy the new year. Be safe. And as always, stay dirty.